Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the San Francisco Board of Supervisors Land Use and Transportation Committee meeting for Monday, February 23rd, 2017. My name is Mark Farrell. I will be chairing this committee. I am joined by Supervisor Katie Tang, and Supervisor Aaron Peskin is not in town today, so we'll be taking a motion to excuse him in a minute. I want to thank the clerk of our committee, Mr. Victor Young, as well as Leo Diassis and Nona Melconian from SFG TV for covering this meeting today. With that, Mr. Clerk, do we have any announcements?
Yes, please silence all cell phones and electronic devices. Completed speaker cards and copies of any documents to be included as part of the file should be submitted to the clerk. Items acted upon today will appear on the March 7, 2017 Board of Supervisors agenda unless otherwise stated.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Clerk. Again, Supervisor Tang, Supervisor Peskin is not going to be able to be with us today, so can I entertain a motion to excuse Supervisor Peskin?
All right, motion to excuse Supervisor Peskin.
Okay, we have a motion by Supervisor Tang. We can take that without objection. With that, Mr. Clerk, would you call item number 1, please?
Item number 1, ordinance amending the administrative code to require that all cash-out proceeds received by an owner of an affordable housing development supported in whole or in part by taxpayer funds shall be used only for the creation, development, and preservation of affordable housing.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Clerk. So, colleagues, our housing crisis continues to persist in our city. We have to ensure that every penny available for affordable housing is being solely used for affordable housing needs. Recently in our town here in San Francisco, an affordable housing developer refinanced an affordable housing development which was funded with a mix of public resources, made millions off the transaction, and then spent it on dark money political campaigns here in our town. And we're not talking about small political donations, but donations well over hundreds of thousands of dollars to various ballot measures and committees and candidates over the last few years. To me, this type of activity is outrageous. There should never be a perception that public resources are potentially even used for political purposes. So that's why I introduced the ordinance in front of us today. When developers build affordable housing, profits gained from those projects should be dedicated to affordable housing needs, plain and simple. I have zero intention or desire to take money back from the developers who work hard to develop these projects and serve our communities in San Francisco. I also don't want to overly burden or slow down their processes. This ordinance is very simple and straightforward and codifies existing policy at the Mayor's Office of Housing and Community Development. Affordable housing developers using funding from federal, state, and sources through MOSTD to fund the development of affordable housing. And as they pay off their loans or refinance their loans to take advantage of equity or interest rates, they can gain additional funds or cash out proceeds. As part of the development deal, the affordable housing developer will receive a developer fee. It's also a deferred fee that is collected when financing is available. This ordinance requires that our Mayor's Office of Housing and Community Development agreements ensure that all cash-out proceeds are used solely for the development of affordable housing. It includes capital and tenant improvements, the purchase or acquisition of additional property for affordable housing, or building new affordable housing, or the payment of operating and staff costs required for the creation, development, construction, or preservation of affordable housing. Again, I want to ensure that any financial gains made from public investment in affordable housing goes back to affordable housing. To that end, I also have some amendments I'll be introducing after public comment that will make the ordinance more functional for MOSTD, as well as to expand the permitted use of funds. On page 2, I'm going to add language that addresses MOSTD's current policy on the restrictions of the use of developer fees. On page 3, expanding the permitted uses of these funds to include resident or tenant services, also clarifying the definition of affordable housing. And page 4, I'm clarifying restrictions on developer fees and requiring annual reporting of expenditures of the use of cash-out proceeds. So with that, unless there are any comments, I'd like to, Ms. Chan, do you want to come speak at all? You can decline as well. It's your call.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Supervisors. Amy Chan from Mayor's Office of Housing and Community Development. Just here to say that our office supports the policy of restricting the cash-out proceeds to affordable housing purposes only. We do have a practice of including such restrictive language in our loan agreements and our ground leases. And with this legislation, we will codify that, as you have said, Supervisor, and make sure that it's in all of our agreements.
Great. Thank you very much. Any questions? Okay, we'll move on to public comment. Anybody wish to comment on item number 1?
Hi, my name is Sonia Traus. I'm here from the YIMBY party. We're strongly in support of this. Obviously, developers, any affordable housing developer or any other kind of developer is still free under this rule to participate in the public process, but they have to raise their money themselves just like the rest of us. You know, at the YIMBY Party, we have to raise money from people who agree with our mission, and so any affordable housing developer can still do that even under this this restriction. Absolutely, it's the case that public money should be going for what the public thinks it's going for. Thank you very much. Okay, bye.
Thanks very much. Anybody else wish to publicly comment on item number 1? Seeing none, public comment is closed. Again, colleagues, Supervisor Tang, there are a number of affordable housing developers, and most of them obviously in San Francisco, that do great work that we work closely with here inside of City Hall and serve our communities to expand our affordable housing stock. I also want to commend the challenging work that MoCD does. Welcome, Ms. Chan, to the team. But I think it's important to remember that at the end of the day, public money invested in affordable housing should be for affordable housing only. If they want to engage in political speech, as was mentioned in public comment, they're welcome to raise private funds to do so, but not off the backs of our taxpayers. So with that, Supervisor Tang, we have a number of amendments, and I'd love to entertain, unless any comments, a motion to accept those and push the underlying ordinance forward.
All right. Thank you, Supervisor Farrell, for introducing this piece of legislation. I think it is necessary, and also for working with MOHCD on making it better. And so at this time, I will make a motion to adopt the amendments that were read into the record at first, and then send it forward to the full board with positive recommendation as amended.
Okay. Thank you. Motion by Supervisor Tang. We can take it without objection. Mr. Clerk, would you call item number 2, please?
Item number 2, ordinance amending the planning code to revise sectional map ZN07 of the zoning map to delete the Upper Market Street neighborhood commercial district and reclassify assessors parcel block numbers 2623, lots 6 at 376 Castro Street, and assessors parcel block 2623, lot 91 at 2416 through 2420 Market Street from the Upper Market NC District to the Upper Market Street Neighborhood Commercial Transit District, revising several sections of Article 4 to include the entirety of the Upper Market Street NCD District, including portions outside of the Market and Octavia Plan area.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. So with us today is Andres Power from Supervisor Sheehy's office to explain this item.
Good afternoon, Supervisors. Here, Andres Power for Supervisor Sheehy. This is a tiny piece of legislation. A few years ago, former Supervisor Scott Wiener rezoned the Upper Market NCD district to the Upper Market NCT district that has had a very series of planning code implications. But because of where the supervisor lived, there were 2 parcels that were excluded from that effort. And so the legislation before you today just closes the loop and just rezones those remaining 2 parcels to Upper Market NCT.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Powers. No question. We'll open this up to public comment. Anybody wish to comment on item 2? Oh, sorry. Additional presentation.
Good afternoon, Supervisors. Diego Sanchez with the San Francisco Planning Department. As mentioned, the item before you is a cleanup ordinance that would rezone the last 2 lots that are zoned Upper Market NCD to Upper Market Street NCT. The ordinance will also correct language in the code so that all properties within the Upper Market NCT would be subject to the Market and Octavia inclusionary fees and the community improvement impact fees. This section of the code was not updated when the Upper Market Street NCT was expanded, and this ordinance before you is going to update that language. The Planning Commission heard this item on September 29th, 2016, and voted to recommend approval. Finally, the department would like to thank Supervisor Sheehy for taking up sponsorship of the item. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. At this time, we'll open this up to public comment. Anybody wish to comment on item 2? Seeing none, public comment is closed.
I'll make a motion then to send forth this item to the full board with positive recommendation.
Okay, motion by Supervisor Tang. We can take that without objection. Mr. Clerk, do we have any other business in front of us today?
That completes the agenda for today.
All right, thank you, everybody. We are adjourned.